unless you've lived in America for some time, you will not understand why Black Americans move the way that they do. And I'm saying this as a non Black American who's lived in America for quite some time. Because prior to moving to America, I was a similar way. I was like, what is this emphasis on race? Like, it's not that deep. Let it go. Right? Because I'm going off of my lived experience, right? And visiting a place is not the same as living in a place, you know? I'm going off my lived experience of different cultures coming together, being in harmony, etc., blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, I don't know what this great, division is because, again, my experience is different. But telling somebody who has that lived experience that, well, it's not valid because your lived experience is different is going to be quite invalidating. So, and I say for some time specifically because you can live here maybe like 6 months, a year, and you haven't experienced anything, right? And outside of the US, you have to understand that what you're seeing is a very curated experience in the media. Granted, with the rise of social media, we're opening a lot more doors, right? But we could even see like what's going on now with Black Americans and Black Scots. It to me, it's jolly. I loved it. I've loved seeing it. And people are like, they didn't know Black Americans knew Black Scots existed. We're in every part of the world, right? But it's just exciting to see people that even me as a Caribbean person, I was like, oh, this is exciting. Seeing an accent on a different face, than what you would think for that region is something exciting. It's something fun, but people are using it to almost make like, like Americans seem dumb or whatever. But unless you've lived here, then you start to be like, yeah, they're white people. They're a little bit different than my white people. They're different, a little different than the other white people over there. You know what I'm saying? Because I had never thought about, and I've talked about this before, I've never thought about being black until I moved to America. It's not a thought that crossed my mind because I'm from a majority black country. So it's not a thought that's going to cross my mind, and I'm not experiencing racism in my country, in a majority black country, but I experienced it here. I'll tell you that for sure. So unless you've lived here, unless you've had that experience, unless you know the cultural significance of slavery, which as a black person in every country you should, but it's different. Even though we all experience it, we experience different types. And the slavery in America specifically was like the worst form of slavery because you broke down the person down to their core, stripped them of their culture, etc. Whereas in other regions, we didn't have that. We maintained quite a bit of our culture and, Africa and the Caribbean, etc. So we still had that to hold on to. But here it was almost stripped away entirely down to the core, right? So identity is a very big thing in America in a different way that it is for us in the Caribbean, right? So I would say sometimes you don't have to be a part of every conversation. Sometimes you just sit back and watch. And can we please get rid of this diaspora war? Black people from all the world, we're different. Every black person is not the same, but we all have some of the same lived experiences, okay? But the diaspora wars are tired. They are tired. They are exhausting. But what's crazy is like when you have people of different culture living in the same place, it's all Gucci. It's when we seem to be in different regions of the world, it can't click. It's not clicking too good.
I think white people think that other people want to be them. I think they think other people want to be white. They actually think that people are looking at them ordering Charlie Kirk's at Starbucks in a show of solidarity and thinking, God, I wish that was fucking me. They think people want to be like them. Bro, nobody wants to be like white people.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
In every lifetime, if I ever got reincarnated, I would choose to be black. This video is so funny because it is true. Like white people think that they are the norm, the status quo, and that they are the blueprint for things, and everything outside of the scope of being white is not normal. I and I can speak boldly for the majority of black people on earth, and I will say 99.999% of black people. In every lifetime, if I ever got reincarnated, I would choose to be black. with everything that we experience in the world, with everything, all the history we have, all the racism, microaggressions, macroaggressions existing in this world, having to prove yourself, being better than everybody just to get an equal level playing field, I would always choose to be black. I couldn't imagine not having 20 cousins, having fake cousins, being communal, going to church, having growing up in my grandmother's house, having dinner at my grandma's house, having a drunk uncle that has hoop dreams at 50 who used to be a rapper. I couldn't imagine not having all the things that bring me together as a black person with other black people. Seasoned food, rhythm, music, clothes, swag, style, impact. I just could not imagine not being this person. So if you're watching this and you're white and you really think that you are the blueprint because the world has told you so, that's a lie, bro. It's a lie. I would never want to be white. Don't get me wrong. There are some people out there that have issues internally, self-hatred, and that's due to our history in this land and the world. But the majority of us would always choose to be melanated in the next lifetime. Have a wonderful day.
If we don't feel bad about ourselves, then they don't feel good about themselves. Right? Right? And that's why the European beauty standard exists. Because white people need to feel good about themselves. And the only way they can is to make sure that black people, specifically black women, feel bad about themselves in the way that they look. And I specify black women because we are often the victims of white women coming to our pages to tell us that we're jealous of the way that they look. We're jealous of their blonde hair and their blue eyes. If you have the time today, I genuinely want you to sit and think about how ridiculous it is for white people to create a beauty standard that is based on their features, when black people, brown people, are the global majority. Sit and think about it. What the fuck? And that sort of segues directly into blackface and the whole there was a whole genre of entertainment committed to making fun of black people and degrading our features. What Cat Williams say? He said something along the lines of, they got you looking over here when they looking over there, right? They got us looking over here as a distraction. They looking over there. They know the truth about who we are and what we are capable of. I need white people to understand this, and I also need black men to understand this. You could never, ever make me feel bad about the way that I look. Because if I could come back in every single lifetime in this body, I would.
Where are all the black girls with chronic illnesses? Where are all the black girls with chronic illnesses? Oh yeah, that's right. They're probably suffering in silence, because half of the time when you go to a doctor as a black woman, they don't believe that your pain is real. And the other half of the time, you're gaslighting yourself into thinking that you just don't work hard enough because you've seen your mother struggle your entire life and work 10 times harder than everybody else. So you just think the amount of pain that you're in is normal. Turns out you most likely have a chronic illness that you just have not been diagnosed with. And you might never get diagnosed with it until the day you die. But who knows? Maybe one day someone will believe you.
They say these are the most influential cultures in America. Black.
I saw this list. I thought it was so interesting.
What you think?
I thought it was so interesting. The top 5, right? I can probably remember some of them too.
Okay, tell me who you see.
Is it like Indian culture is number 5?
Indian culture is number 4.
Number 4, yeah.
Number 4, Indian culture. These are the most influential cultures in America.
Yes.
Indian came in at number 4. Who else you remember?
Indian culture came in at number 4. Is it Mexican culture?
Come in at number 3. Latino culture.
Yeah, Latino culture came in at number 3. Yeah. Latino culture.
Okay.
Oh, I know this other one.
Okay.
Japanese.
Japanese. I couldn't believe that.
Japanese culture.
Guess what?
Japanese. Yeah, that's
Japanese is the number 2 culture in America.
That's
K-pop is so
wild.
big
And
right now.
I didn't think that. I thought Latino culture.
Yeah, but think about it though. The Japanese culture, they have meditation, they have teas,
Well,
yoga,
and
all that
they're
type
in
of stuff.
hip hop. They're in K-pop now. They got their
Yeah.
own like
Well,
pop lane and everything.
Come
Here's
on.
what they're saying. They're saying Japanese culture, sushi, ramen,
Sushi, yeah.
anime, video games, Nintendo, PlayStation,
Facts.
minimalist design, martial arts, and meditation is of the culture, the Japanese culture that they say that is influential in America.
Can I-
And minimalist, like they don't have too much stuff.
Can we pop our collar real quick though?
Let's pop it because I'm getting ready to tell you the number one,
Yeah,
the
go
most
ahead.
influential culture
Talk about
in America
Speak on it.
is the African American culture.
Yes, Lord.
It is number one. Guess what
Yes,
they
Lord.
said? Hip hop and R&B music, slang, language,
surprised?
the language influence, streetwear, hairstyles, soul food,
Swag.
dominance in sports, entertainment, pop culture at large.
Come on, man.
They say the number one most influential culture in America
Yeah.
is the African American culture.
A lot of the times people hate you because they ain't you.
Right.
Real talk.
Isn't that something?
When they see that these people are not saying anything, right, they keep doing it. And the way people are being reactive when it comes to Black Americans, be it anywhere, both on social media, is getting very intense, right? And I think is part of the reasons why I always say the awakening is here, right? Anyway, just watch this videos anyway, then I'll be back.
So this one is going to be controversial. I know I'm going to get hate for this one, but I'm going to say it. A lot of black men love being stereotyped. They don't just live under stereotypes, they very much lean into them. They wear it like a badge until they get some consequences from it, and then they have a problem with it. From the way they dress, to how they act, to the circles they keep. Some literally almost take pride in being stereotyped. Just because you can get some easy, don't let a white woman fetishize you. And I'm not saying that you can't date or be attracted to other races, because most people are generally just genuine and nice. But how you let certain people talk to you and treat you is very telling. There are black men who will dance in the snow thinking they are winning, but not realizing that they are just the entertainment. Just look at the stereotypes in general, right, around us. Hypermasculine, dangerous, hypersexual. It paints us as animalistic, subhuman, fetish objects, and yet too often people love to perform it and actually like it. Look at Shannon Sharp doing race play. Like, look at how people love to focus on black men's meat size, and we seem to love it as well. People think looking dangerous is cool and just dress ridiculously for the circumstance. I'm thinking specifically about Notting Hill Carnival, where it's actually hot and men will come in full tech fleece and bomber jackets, hoods up, and then when they get stereotyped and treated like suspects, they complain about stereotyping. It doesn't even make any sense. And I have to be real, from my own personal experience. The other day, I was at the Odeon Lux, right? Before the film even started, a group of young black men came in, tech fleece, smelling of weed, and I hated that I immediately stereotyped them. But you know what I hated even more? I was right. They were loud, disruptive, and annoying, and I had to leave. And this is where the conflict lives. I don't want to think negatively about my own people. I know countless really smart, really intelligent young black men who are disciplined, building futures, and they dress the same way. Because it is fine to like, those types of attire. But for everyone who is working hard to dismantle the stereotype, unfortunately, there are like 3 or 4 idiots doing the exact opposite, reinforcing it. And that is a big problem. Stereotypes don't just come from outside. They survive because some of us perform them willingly. And when we do, we don't just hurt ourselves, we make it easier for people to keep treating us as a problem. And for me, right, the bigger question we need to ask is this, like, why are people so comfortable playing roles that strip them of their humanity? What would it look like if they actually try and define themselves outside of the box that other people built for them? But a lot are just too slow and stupid to even understand that, so I'm probably just complaining to no one. Anyway, it's just my opinion.
God forbid you be the pretty black girl in a corporate office. And be quiet and do your job and mind your business, baby. They is not gonna like you.
So this is not gonna be me talking about something. I just really wanted to come ask my people how y'all doing. There's a lot of stuff going on in America, and we are dealing with a lot of racial tension right now aimed at us. Are y'all mental state okay? How your family doing? To the sisters out there, you okay? You making sure you got your eyes on these children when y'all go out? To black men out there, are y'all good? Is your mind in the same place? I know they're trying to make us to look like some kind of criminals out here who are attacking lily white girls with what they try to show us with their train situation. But just know we understand that we ain't out there attacking them like that. At this point in society, we really got to start checking on each other. And that's it for me. But to my people, it's all love. And y'all stay safe out here.
Okay, as promised, we're back at it with part 2, right? And so the last place I left you guys off at was basically explaining how they needed to go back to the drawing board. I hope by now you know who they are because we got to speak in code, right? So they needed to go back to the drawing board, and that was basically to enrage the far-right extremists into provoking a war and inciting fear, right? So that they're able to, one, collect these bodies and also harvest this energy. And the way that they decided to do it was to make them believe that one of their very own was taken out by one of us, which aligns with the incident that took place on September 10th. I'm definitely going to get into that, but first, I got to backtrack. In part 1, I mentioned that I was introducing a new concept into play, which was the energy harvesting, right? I want to touch on that a little bit. So in part 1, I mentioned that I believe that the commencement of the energy harvesting was supposed to take place around election time. But instead, collectively, or at least the majority of the Black community decided to instead refrain from exerting any type of energy. We didn't want to give in any shape, way, or form. And so there was no energy to be harvested, right? But that fucked things up for them. They need to start harvesting the energy so that they're able to fire up their side, so that they're able to charge up their side and actually start the process of renewing the contract. It has to start from somewhere, but they're not getting any energy from us, which is why they're now enlisting the help of the far-right extremists to get the job done. I believe that their inability to harvest our energy is also the reason why everything is unraveling as fast as it is. I truly do believe that they thought that the effects of everything that they were implementing was not going to take effect until after the 4 years. They need that time. They need that time in order to actually be able to solidify the renewal of the contract. But because they can't harvest any energy, everything is unraveling faster than it's supposed to. Everything that has happened in the last 9 months was supposed to take place over the course of probably 4 years and at the start of the end of his term. That's what they were hoping for. But because there's no energy to jumpstart the base of this contract renewal, everything is unraveling a lot faster. It's weakening the base. And low-key, wouldn't that explain why Black people collectively, at least the majority of us, had this instinctive knowing or this just feeling of reserving our energy? We were all on one accord when it came to that. Like, there was no explanation needed. There was no reasoning needed. There was nothing. We just all understood that this was the assignment. It is because of that failure to harvest energy is why they're now enlisting the help of the far-right extremists. You understand? Getting them angry enough, devising a plan to get them angry enough so that they can focus on us. Which brings us back to the incident that took place on September 10th. Now, you're probably thinking, it didn't need to be him. It didn't need to be that guy. They could probably have gotten that reaction with the average Joe. You understand? It didn't need to be him, somebody that was so influential, somebody that obviously would have a big following behind his passing, right? But I do not believe that it was coincidental. It was very strategic. Now, anything that I say from this point moving forward is allegedly. Okay? It's alleged. I'm going to try to remember to say that word as much as I fucking possibly can. Allegedly speaking, the gentleman that was slain on September 10th apparently was pushing for certain documents to be released. They were pushing for certain documents to be released. Rumor also has it that this person was starting to become anti the Who's, right? They were starting to become anti. This person had a following of 13 million. They literally made a career of touring the colleges across the country. They had the influence of the youth, the physically prime, deranged, far-right extremists in the palm of their hand. If they said jump, they would respond with how high. I mean, you see how they're reacting behind his passing. That's not an influence that they, the higher theys, can lose control of. And if rumor is correct, that this person who had 13 million followers was starting to press on the issue of certain documents to be released, and was starting to be on the opposing side of a certain G word that's taking place currently. Don't you see how it's strategic in having that person slain? Because it's most definitely two birds and one stone. You get the extremist far right riled up while also taking out the person who's a threat to your base. If the higher theys lose control of the far right extremists, it's over. It's absolutely over. There's no way that they're going to be able to renew anything. No contract, no riches, no privilege, no prestige, no power, nothing. It's all gone. Everything is gone, which would also align with everybody stating how they believe that the decline, the demise of the American civilization as we know it is on its way. Which leads me to conclude this video with the statement that Trump was supposed to win. Trump was supposed to win. Trump was supposed to be the president. And I'm not going to leave you guys on a cliffhanger like that. I'm definitely going to explain in a whole separate video, but I have to get the words together for that because, yeah, it's another. Most importantly, please remember that this is just a spiritual take on everything that's going on, okay? That's all it is. It's just a spiritual take on what's going on. Thank you.
I don't think I really understand the microaggressions that we get from white women and black men. They're one and the same at this point. Y'all are like, Michael, she's pretty. You said you like blah, blah, blah. I ain't hear all that. I seen her look at me. I seen her look back and was like, she got an attitude for sitting there waiting on my food. Like sitting by myself waiting for my food. The microaggressions that we get from black men and white women, and it's like, I know I wasn't sitting there looking like shit, but I wasn't sitting there with a smile on my face either, you know what I mean? Like, I'm waiting on my food. It's just weird, like, y'all be on our dick for what?
You ugly as fuck. This shit is so funny. Why is this so funny? Because it's delusional. It's delusional in my state of reality. So I made a video saying when you get rejected by black women, get called ugly, but better looking black women think you're handsome, fine, and attractive. And this white girl commented on my video. Like, I care about her opinion. I don't give a fuck what you think about me. I'm only into black women. I wish you could show your real face. I would have cooked you. But just based off your profile pic, I have pulled girls that are not even on your level. Like, and I even pulled girls within your race. There's girls within your race, white girls, that wanted me, but I'm not into white girls. I'm only into black women. I'm telling you, us attractive men, when we get this comment from a small percentage of women, we look at that shit like it's delusional. Because we know we can get a girl that's badder than them or just as bad as them. I have pulled the baddest black woman. I have pulled bad black women that are top tier. And judging based off your profile pic, you're not my type. You're a white girl. And judging based off your profile pic, I have pulled so many black women that are not even on your level. Why did you even make that comment? It's delusional.
When we get on here as black women and we tell y'all that doctors aren't taking us seriously, we're being honest. For me personally, I have a lot of health issues. It took 4 doctors, me seeing 4 different people, for them to finally diagnose me with endometriosis. And when I got to that 5th doctor, when I got to that 5th doctor, he was like, oh no, I think you have endometriosis. Just looking at your chart, he looked at my ultrasounds and stuff. This was after a full year of straight pain. He was able to diagnose it in 1 sitting. A lot of doctors do not take us seriously. There's a handful of doctors that do, but it's really hard to find them. Again, another example. This summer, I kept passing out and I could not understand what was wrong. And I was having a hard time remembering things. I was getting really bad migraine. Come to find out, I was microhemorrhaging. And you know, I would have found that out when I went to the hospital the first time when I had to ride there in an ambulance after I passed out. But instead, they told me that maybe something's wrong with my heart. What the fuck does that have to do with my heart? Again, It took a doctor taking me seriously, my new physical doctor taking me seriously and getting me to neurologists for them to find out I didn't have 3 microhemorrhages. I have 3 brain bleeds in front of my head. And they still don't know what's causing them. So I'm still doing testing and all that stuff, but at least I know that there's something going on. And I'm doing better with the medicine they put me. But again, a lot of doctors do not take black women seriously. Or black people just in general. So a lot of the times we be having really bad issues and we can't figure out what's going on because they always want to say something else instead of really taking us seriously and doing the proper test. Oh, and keep in mind, the doctors that did diagnose me, they're all people of color. Yeah, every last doctor I have now is a person of color. And they all are able to help me now. Like, I'm the healthiest I've ever been in years because of them. If you're in college right now and you're a person of color, please keep going to get that doctor. I know it's hard, whatever. Please, if you're working in the health field, please keep going because we need people like y'all in the health industry because nobody takes it serious.
Whoa. Hold up. I'm starting to see a lot of white people on this app start asking black people for help. Now, before you ask us for help, I need you to check your metrics. When is the last time you used your privilege to help out a black person? When is the last time you had a black friend? Have you ever had a black friend? Matter of fact, how many black people do you know? And I'm not talking about that one kid that you knew in school back when you integrated. Check your metrics. Now, based on your metrics, would you step in to help you?
I seen another black girl video, so you already know where this is headed. This is going to be another spiritual conspiracy type video. However, I do back it up with logic and facts, so it's going to make sense. It's going to make sense. At least I hope. The best way I could describe what black girl videos do for me is you know what your paper is going to be about. You have the topic in mind. You know what you're going to discuss. You just don't know how to start it. But as soon as you get that opening line, everything starts flowing. And for me, her videos are like my opening line. It helps me get everything flowing. All right, so just follow along. So in the very first spiritual conversation that I've ever brought to this platform, we were discussing basically how America is in debt to some type of deity that requires the sacrificing of black and brown bodies in order to fulfill some type of contract that gives them power, prestige, privilege, riches, basically all of the things that we see the white heads here in America struggling so desperately to keep hold of. You understand? To the point where they're willing to crush everybody else. So piggybacking off that, right? Black Girl was basically discussing how she believes that America is in debt to some type of war god. Now, I do have a correction with that only because I don't believe that it's a war god. I believe that it's a war demon, right? Even if you're not spiritual, in Christianity terms, we no longer have to commit acts of sacrifice because Jesus Christ is the ultimate sacrifice. You understand? Anything that requires the sacrificing of any kind is not of God. That's not of God. That's of the devil. Okay? That's of Satan. That's not of God. So America's in debt to some type of war demon, right? And basically what she was saying is that America needs a new war. They need a new war. Now, pardon me in advance because I'm going to be looking down a lot. I got notes. Anyway, war still technically accounts for a high number in casualties of black, brown, and indigenous bodies. Remember, the whole point is to still sacrifice bodies. They need to be able to fulfill this contract. But I have a new concept that I kind of want to introduce. It's not just about sacrificing our bodies, but also harvesting our energy. Think about all of the emotions that war brings forth. They harvest that. So it's not just a thing about sacrificing our body, sacrificing our flesh, but also harvesting our energy. The whole point is to be able to do both of these simultaneously. Now, Black Girl says that this also explains why that side is so violent prone, right? Earlier today, I actually recorded a video where I was reporting how almost all accounts of terrorism acts, right? All ideologically motivated homicide that has been committed in the United States since 1994 has been committed by the far right extremists. This is what I mean by I knew what I wanted to talk about. I just didn't know how to start it. All right, so now we're going to bring in some facts to support the theory, right? So since 1776, although the U.S. has only formally declared war 5 times, it has engaged in over 200 military conflicts in its history, right? And the only reason why there's no definite answer is because the United States, America wants to be tricky on its definition of war. And here's the proof. And I already know because it's an AI overview, you guys are going to want more additional cited sources, so I came prepared. Here you go. And here you go again. All right, getting back to it. America has also had the strongest military, since 1945 after World War II. Now, remember in the video, Black Girl also speaks about how that side is so violent prone, right? I got some more facts on that as well. Between 1994 and 2020, far right-wing extremists accounted for all 893 acts of terrorism in the United States. Again, there is your proof. There is your proof, and it's from theguardian.com. Oh, it doesn't just end there, right? I'm going to be paraphrasing, but I have it highlighted up top if you want to read the entire thing. Since 1990, the far right has committed 227 acts of terrorism that have claimed more than 520 lives. I hope by now it's very clear that the point that I'm trying to drive is that they're fucking violent, right? They're fucking violent. I know that a lot of us already knew this. However, there's statistics, there's numbers that support it. So we're not just talking out of our ass when we state this, okay? So considering that America is in debt to a war demon, it makes sense why this is so natural to them, why it's in their nature for them to be so prone to anger, to violence, to war, okay? Why they're so thirsty for it. The reason why they're so quick to join any war, to commit any act of terrorism. It's because that's their bread and fucking butter. That's how this country was founded. That's where their prestige lies. So of course it makes sense why they're so, it's natural to them. Now, Black Girl also mentions in her video, since America is in need of a new war, they need this new war in order to fulfill this contract or to be able to renew the contract. This is also part of the reason why this administration has been provoking the Black community. Now, her and I's thoughts are exactly the same, right? We believe that the original plan was to provoke Black, brown, indigenous, colored, people to engage in acts of violence, basically trying to instigate a civil war, right? Threatening us, scaring us into a place where we would conform and give into it, right? And think about it. They would not only get a war, right? But they would also be able to harvest so much energy from said war. Just think about all of the fear, the anxiety, the depression that would create. Basically, two birds in one stone. This would also explain why America is so hell-bent on standing with a country that is committing genocide, although other parts of the world have begun publicly, cutting ties with that country. Even though America is losing trillion-dollar deals behind it. They need the fucking war. They need the war. Now, I believe that the timeline really starts around election time. I believe that's when they wanted to start harvesting our energy, as well as start putting in, this plan, implementing the plan, putting it to action, right? I believe that him being elected was supposed to make us very fearful. It was supposed to make us scared. It was supposed to make us worried. You understand? That was supposed to be the energy that they were supposed to be feeding off of, right? Not only that, it was supposed to make us anxious so that it would make us impulsive. And so we'd be quick to want to lash out or to defend ourselves. But the Black response was nothing. It was nothing. I give you nothing. No fear, no tears, no sadness, no depression, no anxiety, no compassion, no reasoning, no fight, no anger, nothing. Nothing. And so what energy are you able to feast off of? What energy are you able to feast off of in order for you to get to kickstart this contract that you're trying to renew, that you're so desperate to renew? So if they can't get the emotion out of us, right? And they can't get us to come out of our homes, how are they going to be able to get us to engage in any acts of violence? They can't start this civil war that they need. So then Black Girl says that basically Trump and them, they needed to go back to the drawing board and think of a new plan. What was the new plan? Basically enrage the far right extremists to provoke a war and incite fear, thus creating the war plus creating the energy to be harvested, right? How, you ask? Make them think that one of their own was killed by us. Sounds familiar? Sounds familiar? So there's a saying that If you tell the poor white man to worry about the poor black man, he won't notice that the rich white man is picking his pocket, right? This is a ideology that the higher ups in white supremacy use to condition the lower class in white supremacy so that they stay complacent, so that they stay compliant, right? They leverage just this little bit of privilege in white supremacy so that they don't ever go after the person that's actually picking their pocket. And because this is so deeply indoctrinated in them, all you have to do is make them worry about us. So when this person was slain, right? And then the far right immediately started blaming the left, what do you think happened? They focused on us. They focused on us. And immediately after, HBCUs started receiving violent threats to the point where they had to shut down. And then a black boy's body was found hung in a tree, from a tree in Mississippi. All of this was done to make us fearful, anxious, scared, worried, angry, so that they can harvest energy and also get us to engage in this war that they're so desperate to fucking start. All right, so it's looking like I have to make a part 2, so that's what I'm going to do.
Welcome back. I have to actually give a shout out to every creator that spoke on that video, right? Now, here was what I was saying before I took the little break, right? Now, let me tell you something. If you notice it, the awakening about, do you know black people are this and black people are that, it got really serious this year, especially this season. And now, what do you think? Do you think that other people will be happy about that? Do you think they'll take it lightly? Trust me, they are going to come for you. They are going to try whatever they can to provoke you, to see what will happen, cause smear campaigns here and there and there and there. The thing is, do not stop holding your guards, right? You know who you are. You understand what it is. Carry yourself like it should be, right? The next videos I'm going to do is just like the Jeremiah series. I went through the Bible and I found out so many other things too about the black race and a lot of things that we were not even told to. We were not told about the black race. And I'll be exposing it in my next video. Kindly subscribe and share. Tell your people to come and subscribe. I'll be really digging deep during the course of this weekend in the Bible so that we can get more of these things, get ourselves equipped, get ourselves educated, know these things, and know what we are supposed to be doing about it, right? I want to see your thoughts in the comments in regard to the videos you watched. Do you have your own experiences too? I'd actually like to watch them. I'd like to actually see them. If it's the one that we'll have to laugh, we'll laugh. If it's the one that is causing pain, then we'll have to talk to you very well, right? So you can just get the right answers you need. That is why we are here. And that is why we have this platform. This is a safe space for every black person, especially black Americans. Normally, I keep saying it, my space, that's my channel here, it's meant for the marginalized people. If you're not marginalized, please, 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 can you just be taking a leave? Now, I am for these people and their mind, right? They understand me. So if you understand me, please make sure to always share my videos. Even if you don't like the ones I'm posting, I keep saying it, just allow it play till the end, right? Don't watch it, don't bother. Just do it for me. Help your sister, right? So the next series I'm going to do is going to be fire. You can't even miss it. You can't miss it. But let me see your own stories, your own experiences in that comment. I'll be back next time. Love you so much. Bye, guys.